Welcome to another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the preacher's husband. Today we have shifted back into Genesis. We are in Genesis chapter 12 through 15 today, and we are talking about Abram. Now, Abram gets this voice from God. God calls Abram and says, "Listen here, buddy. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get up. You're going to go. You're going to leave your land. You're going to leave your relatives. You're going to leave your father's house. And you're going to go to this other place where I show you." So Abram does it. He packs up and he takes off. So he starts heading out and he's going towards the land of Canaan. And what happens when he gets there? He finds famine. Famine starts happening. Bad things. Now in the land of Canaan, rainfall is very important to them because they don't have very much water around them. Okay, there's not a whole lot of rivers and ponds and streams and things like that to get lakes to get water from, so they have to rely on the rain. When it doesn't rain, famine happens. So this was one of the areas that God promised Abram that he was going to give him. But because there was such famine, he said, "We've got to move on. We're all going to die." So he heads to Egypt. And what does he find in Egypt? Well, he heads to Egypt, and when he gets there, he knows about the pharaohs, and the pharaohs are notorious for killing guys and then taking their wives into their harem for themselves. So Abram tells Sarai this and says, "Look, you go in there and you tell them you're my sister. Don't tell them you're my wife, because if they do that, they're going to kill me. So save me by coming here and telling them that you are my sister." Well, they do this, and then Pharaoh, of course, believes that Sarai is just beautiful, and he takes her anyway as his wife. But he doesn't kill Abram. In fact, he treats Abram really well, and he gives him livestock and donkeys and all kinds of wonderful things because this is the brother of his new wife, right? Well, then guess what happens? A plague starts striking the Pharaoh because of what has happened. And Pharaoh goes to Abram and says, "What have you done? Why didn't you just tell me the truth?" Well, later on, we're going to find out that Abram actually did tell the truth. In chapter 20, we find out later that Sarai actually is his half-sister from his father. His father had a daughter with another woman, not Abram's mom. So it's actually his half-sister. So technically he didn't lie to Pharaoh, but it wasn't good. So Pharaoh says, "Take your wife, get out of here, and don't come back." So that's what he does. He leaves. So they leave Egypt and they head to Negev, and they move on to another place, to Bethel. And as they were traveling on, they get to the land where they originated, and they realize that Lot and Abram, there wasn't enough land for everything that they had, all of their livestock. There just wasn't enough space. The shepherds were quarreling over each other's herds, and it was becoming very troublesome. So Abram goes to Lot and says, "Listen, buddy, we have got to go separate ways. We're going to have to separate this. All die because there ain't enough land to support everything that we have." So he says, "You look whichever direction you want to go, and you go that way, and you will have all of the land that you can see from that point forward." So Lot picks the direction towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and he takes off, and they separate ways. Well, when he gets there, that's what it becomes problematic, because war starts to happen. All right, so where Lot goes to Sodom and Gomorrah, these 5 kings have all sided up against these 4 other kings, and then it becomes this big war, and Lot gets caught up in the middle of it, and he gets captured. So who comes to the rescue? Abram does. Abram becomes a hero. He goes to Lot's rescue. And what happens here is he goes in, he has 318 men, and Abram's like, this is not a big enough lot of men to take on 4 or 5 armies, but if they go in at night, they can sneak in and capture the bad guys and rescue Lot. So they do this, and it works. It works. They go and they get Lot. They retrieve Lot, all of his stuff, all of his goods. They even retrieve all the women and bring them all back, and they rescue them. And after this, Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine to bless him, and he blessed Abram. And of course, Abram's like thankful, and he gives him an offering and all. But then the king wants to give Abram a bunch of stuff. He wants to give him tons and tons of stuff. Well, Abram's like, you know what? Give all that stuff to these people over here. Don't give it to me because I've got plenty. I don't want anybody to ever say I made Abram rich. I don't want anyone to ever be able to say that about me. He basically was wanting to be the self-made man, the man of God. And that's what happened. He took nothing from him for that great feat that he did. And then Abraham in chapter 15 sets his covenant with God, and God promises him lots of land and lots of babies and lots of children, and that gets us to the end of chapter 15. Now tomorrow we're going to jump into chapter 16, 17, and 18. We're going to learn a little bit about Hagar and Ishmael and what happens there, a little bit of circumcision going on, and then some visitors for Abraham. And Sarah laughs. She laughs at God. So we're going to learn about that tomorrow. Genesis chapter 16, 17, and 18. Hope to see you again for another exciting episode tomorrow. Be sure to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and click the little jingle bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video. And share this video so somebody else can be touched by it. See you tomorrow for more of the Bible in 1 year with the Preacher's Husband.